Well, joining us now are two judges, royal reporter Jennie Bond, an artist, musician and friend of Prince Harry, Goldie. Welcome, both of you. Thank you very much for coming in. So let's talk about the competition itself. What are we actually looking for?
Well, as you say, under 16s, and we want them all to have a go at doing their portrait of the Queen. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be in paint. It can be, you know, in pencil. It can be in fabric. It can be in buttons. Whatever they think. Maybe, you know, I was thinking maybe little silver diamonds. That'd be quite cool. The Diamond Jubilee. And send their entries in, and there is a good prize: £250 in art supply vouchers for the winner, and £100 worth for the runner-up. So that's worth going for.
OK, Goldie, what would you like to see?
I think it's just looking at the, you know, young people involved in art. I think it's really important that you'd be very surprised at how much they can output, you know, and what their paintings or drawings could be. And it's, I think it's a real good thing to get really active and get people into art, because art generally is a you know, a feel-good factor. And I think that you can be very surprised. There's some young budding artists that, you know, yes, you know, today's kind of doodler could be tomorrow's Picasso, for all we know. Do you know what I mean? It's very important.
And a different style of art, maybe, than the sort of traditional art that we sort of think of, maybe.
Yeah. That would be nice. You know, and I'd like to see a portrait of the Queen which shows her as I know her, which is a smiling Queen. So many of the pictures she's got right. She's like me. I suffer from a glum face. You know, I walk on the rope. He's, oh, cheer up. Like, actually, I was quite happy. You know?
I think he's looking for something different. I mean, it's like Chris Levine's piece, you know, the Light of Dark, you know, in the Enlightened piece.
With her eyes closed.
With her eyes closed. I think it's very interesting, because of the way that we normally see her. And, you know, I'm even involved myself. I'm doing a piece at the moment. I'm trying to paint layers and layers and layers, because I think sometimes you always see it from the postage stamp kind of viewpoint, and it's very two-dimensional. And I think, you know, there's ways of doing it, like the buttons is very interesting, and different ways of how people see their Queen, which is really important. So
this is the buttons one that is behind us at the moment. So this is just an idea. We're just showing you different ideas, different sort of images that people have produced of the Queen. This isn't what you've got to go away and do. That you go and do your own interpretation.
I mean, for the under-16s, I mean, she's going to be a granny figure, isn't she? Maybe even a great-granny figure. So I think that's the avenue maybe I'd like to see them go down, because, you know, we've got dozens of portraits of her with her crown on and her stately robes. Something different would be great, you know, on horseback with the kids.
Yeah, well, I think from a young kids' perspective, they see the world completely differently. And I think I was saying earlier on that most people from the age of 10 to 14 don't really have drawings that you have. I don't really have any of those, but I remember doing them, and I think maybe it was because you didn't think it was worth anything. Yeah. You know, and I think art is a really beautiful way of getting kids in a positive mentality.
You don't have to do it in the traditional way. I assume, so long as you get the size right, you can actually do it on your computer as well.
It could be with anything. It could be with, you know, it's any medium at all, and how you want to portray the Queen and how you see her. And I think after 60 years is a very good thing to celebrate.
Do you have a favourite, Jenny?
Well, I rather like the Rolf Harris portrait, because that does show her smiling, and he was trying to capture, he said, sort of her soul and her spirit, rather than just the regal majesty we know of. And I think it turned out really well. And she was hilarious when it was being painted. She was so funny. He said, "What do you think about, you know, sitting for portraits all the time?" And she said, "Well, one just sees oneself getting older all the time." And he said, "Would you mind?" And she said, and she was like a teenager. She said, "Nah." Usually she might say, "Oh no," but nah, don't really mind.
It's just brilliant.
What are you going to do on the day? How are you involved?
Oh, I'm going to be at Buckingham Palace, not in Buckingham Palace, outside Buckingham Palace with all the throngs of media and crowds broadcasting.
I'll probably still be finishing my painting, probably. You know, I think it's 3 weeks away. I think it's just brilliant to be able to celebrate. I think for me, I remember the Silver Jubilee. I remember wearing the little hat in a children's home in Lou Joseph, sitting there with all of these kids with a little hat on, with little cut-off jeans, and tables being put together.
Were you aware of what was going on?
No, I think I wasn't really aware, conscious of what was going on, but I was aware of the celebration and what it meant to the country. And I think for me, I'm very patriotic like that. I think it's a beautiful thing of getting together. And I'm very proud of that the monarchy in that respect, where if it's getting young people involved and actually community aspect, putting people together, I think, you know, 60 years, Diamond Jubilee is a wonderful thing to celebrate.
So when you, in 1977, when you were in that children's home and you were watching that, to think that you would then be involved in taking young musicians into Buckingham Palace for a concert in front of Harry.
Yeah, I think Goldie's band, that for me was a kind of one of those moments where there's something in my eye. I think it shows the belief, I think, as well, of being in such a prestigious place, and also just arriving there and thinking, you know, where anything's possible.
Yes.
And I think the one thing that's that's always been with me, and some people are really unaware, is art. Art and music have always been my life. Everything else, even when it's fell apart, that I think art's always been the thing that's always come back and brought me back into that. And I think the last 3 years of getting back into my art, full steam ahead, and I've got the art show coming up in the winter, and really fully engaging in it, it reminds me of how beautiful art is and what it does for you, you know. And I think to any young budding artist, man, you start really young, and it can grow into whatever, you know, anything.
So well, it could grow into the Scream, which went at auction, I think, for the record price, £75 million, was it, yesterday?
The Munch Pit, yeah.
You just never know.
You never know with art.
I think Gold is going to be the technical expert, because you're a true artist. I've been looking for the soul and spirit of the Queen. And anything that grabs the viewers, that's the important thing to say, because we are not the final arbiters. That's down to the viewers to vote in the end.
Yeah, down to the public. I mean, the public's vote is really important for them to have
here are the details. All entrants must be under 16 when the competition closes on Tuesday, the 22nd of May. All entries have to be submitted with a consent form signed by a parent or a guardian, which can be printed from our website. Entries should be no bigger than A3 size. So this is the size here. Will need to be posted to us this morning. Diamond Jubilee Art Competition, ITV Studios, Upper Ground, London, SE1 9LT, before Tuesday, the 22nd of May at 5 p.m.
Yes, we can only accept one entry per person. Unfortunately, we won't be able to return any entries, so get cracking.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you
very much.